Und manchmal reicht eine Sekunde, sie in einen Albtraum zu verwandeln.
But there is no way that I am fighting.
Hi, I'm Lady Genevieve, and on my channel I talk about entertainment media. Today we're going to begin reviewing Maxton Hall Season 2, as I have now watched the full season by way of early press screeners, and today is the day when one of the embargoes lifts. Now, normally when I've reviewed a show I've watched early, I will either just do a full season review that gets published right when that embargo lifts, or if it's something a bit more old school that is airing weekly, aka the superior airing model for a television series, I might also publish weekly reviews in order to follow the show as it's airing. But Maxton Hall is doing something a bit out of the ordinary, or maybe other series have been doing this too, but I just didn't know about that because nowadays I first and foremost cover films, specifically ones that are releasing in the cinema, because the cinema is the superior model. We have a couple of weekly embargo dates that will lead up to and coincide with the show's release of its second season. So I will be covering that accordingly since it's only 6 episodes and 3 embargo dates in total. Today I'm going to be reviewing episodes 1 and 2 of Season 2, but I will first share some thoughts about the show in general, Season 1, especially since I haven't reviewed the show before, so I might as well play catch up just a bit. However, to start things off, my pull quote reads, "Maxton Hall Season 2 delivers more drama and angst than ever before. However, its greatest asset is the performance of its star-crossed lovers. Damian Hardung and Harriet Herbig-Matten keep the story emotionally grounded." Now, Season 2 opens with a previously on montage, which is very considerate of them to do, considering how brain-rotted the masses have become because of how much all of us are being bombarded with slop, courtesy of big tech losers who are doing nothing but making the world worse. You don't remember what happened in Season 1? You didn't have time to do a rewatch? Well, that's all right. We'll remind you of the big events to refresh your memory. That being said, I do recommend you rewatch Season 1 because, without saying anything specific, you never really know what details might seem insignificant on a first watch, but might play into how the story continues in Season 2.
Don't look at me, I don't know a thing.
Oh, and one quick note. I haven't read the books. I have been doing a lot more source material coverage here on my channel. For upcoming releases, I have source material videos posted on Regretting You, which is releasing this month, The Running Man, which releases in November, The Housemaid, which releases in December, People We Meet on Vacation, which releases in January, Wuthering Heights, which releases in February, and Reminders of Him, which releases in March. That being said, I've not read the Maxton Hall book or books, so I'm going to talk about the story as if no one in the general audience knows what will happen until it's released to the masses, because I have no idea how similar or dissimilar of an adaptation it is. If you have read the source material though, let me know how close of an adaptation Season 1 was, just so I can know for science. By far, the greatest strength of the first season was the acting and chemistry of its 2 leads. That was the case then, and it's still the case now. In particular, when you have a show where the characters are in high school and the 2 actors were unknown on a global scale before the series was released, the caliber of acting, their ability to emote and make it believable and come across as truthful is highly commendable. That was the facet I remembered most about the show, but upon rewatching Season 1, what I didn't remember is that there are other technical elements that are underrated for how much they do to enhance the effectiveness of the storytelling. I will give you an example of that. In Season 1, when Ruby gets pushed into the pool by that no-good loser Cyril,
"Take it away before I gag."
and you see James staring at the pool when she's not resurfacing, and he just has this gut instinct that something is wrong, even though he doesn't know yet about her childhood trauma, the lighting goes red. And it's not subtle whatsoever. It's a deliberately bold choice. Not only that, the lighting in general, there were repeatedly moments where I would notice it and go, oh wow, they actually gave this show enough of a budget to make this look a lot better than other direct-to-streaming originals in this genre, lighting tends to get expensive quickly, but it's also an essential part of your storytelling. If your lighting is trash and you're a production from a major company, I'm not going to take you seriously. Like when they have the dancing scene and the lights switch to where James and Ruby are presented in a spotlight, that's not lighting intended for realism. It's there to look fantastic, elicit an emotional response, highlight the central focus of the entire series, which is their love story. Yes, I love to see it. But what I loved seeing even more than that was the part where Ruby did exactly one kind thing to James, which was to apologize to him. She showed him just a modicum of empathy, and immediately he goes into the mode of, oh, well, that's the love of my life. And he begins to draw her, and the close-up they do of him while he's drawing, the shot composition combined with the way his hair is styled, I immediately knew whomever put this together is a James Cameron fan. I know a fellow camrad when I see one. You're doing Jack Dawson sketching Rose. What better to homage in your new romantic series than a James Cameron film? James Cameron is a romance girly. You will not tell me otherwise. I know what my eyes have seen again and again whenever I watch and rewatch his movies.
It's my favorite movie of all time.
Me too.
Further opinions about the characters. Ruby Bell is my girl. She is too good. Her heart is too kind. Does having a kind heart make you a good nurse?
Does having a kind heart make you a good nurse?
That's the first thing they want us to know about her. How did we meet Ruby on this series? She was offering her seat on the bus to a pregnant woman. What was the first impression we had of James? Well...
Oh, you smell like dick. What the fuck you been doing?
The second thing we see, he loves his sister, so he's not completely irredeemable. One of my favorite recurring things about Ruby in season 1 is whenever she gets that look on her face. You know, the one where she's about to rip James Beaufort a new one, and it's not just her saying something traditionally mean, because that's something he's used to. It's where it will be some sort of constructive aspect to what she's saying, where it's not just an insult for the sake of it. There's this thread running through it where if he were to take her criticism seriously and learn to rise above those qualities she's calling out, he could be a better person, and that's why he can't handle it. Because his father is just a cartoon supervillain. There's no dimension to what he says. Ruby Bell, though, she will tell James exactly what's what.
And she has bigger mangoes than you.
Now, I do mostly enjoy the series, but I will mention one or two things that I either dislike or things that make me go, what is this? What are you doing? I really like Lydia as a character, but I despise her storyline. That is a teenage girl. She hasn't even gone to university yet. And yet the show insists on romanticizing her having this illicit relationship with her teacher. I don't support the prison industrial complex, but this character is fictional, so I can just be flippant and say he needs to be thrown under the jail. Get away from her. Get away from any and all teenage girls. What is wrong with you? I gave the show time to come to its senses, and it never does. I hate that storyline. Throw it in the garbage. Oh, but they met before. I don't care. Throw it away.
Has the planet gone mad?
Maxton Hall, for the most part, seems to come across as being fairly grounded, emotionally speaking, but also in the plot of its writing. They don't usually go all that hyperbolic, but this whole notion of the Beaufort father being obsessed with having his children work in the company to such an extent that they need to be part of the business ongoings when they haven't even gone to university yet, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's so ridiculous, and it disrupts my immersion in the story, specifically because most of the storytelling isn't exaggerated or hyper-stylized like that. Although I am mostly pulled in and I get very invested in the love story of James and Ruby, James's father is unbearable to watch, and I can feel the disconnect between myself and the story whenever he's acting up, because he only has to say one horrible thing, and I'm immediately going, well, there's a very clear solution to this problem. The The amount of times that I was watching season 1 and I would think, why don't you just cut this problem out of your life? Clearly, I'm first and foremost a film viewer because spending hours watching this man torment his children, and then we finish season 1 and he's still alive? If this was a film, he would have been handled. And the other nitpick I had was when Ruby went to Oxford, they went to a pub and they just casually show off the Margaret Thatcher portrait on the wall.
Don't you think she did any good?
Not a bit of good. Not a bit. I'd put a stake through her heart and garlic round her neck to make sure she never come back.
But now let's talk about season 2, more specifically episodes 1 and 2. I'm not going to distinguish between these two episodes in this section of the review because of my very reasonable skepticism about this review model with these different episodic embargoes that get lifted gradually before this season is even out.
That's suspicious.
I'm going to stay cautious about what I say. I will give a mild spoiler warning, but there are definitely some do not reveals that I will not be sharing because it's not allowed. So let's begin. Season 2 begins right after season 1 left off. James and Lydia's mother passed away while the Maxton Hall students were off at Oxford to do their interviews to try to get fully accepted there. We saw in the season 1 finale how James had visited Ruby's house because he was very emotionally distraught from the death of his mother and immediately had gotten into a fight with his father, just as we would expect him to. That's a reasonable response to him. His name is Mortimer Beaufort, and we hate him. Given that episode 6 was when they got back together and they got fully intimate with one another.
Intimate? Is that how old people say sex?
You might have expected that now we're going to focus on the school having to deal with this news of the hot new couple officially together. But no, it is in fact Cordelia Beaufort's death that is the most seismic event that sets the trajectory for the season 2 opening. We see the impact that this has on her family, but by extension, the ripple effects of this loss into the central focus of Maxton Hall as a show that the audience tunes in for. James and Ruby's romance. If we go back to season 1 and the pool incident, Ruby having her breakdown, telling James about what happened when she was a child and her father's accident, it's a beautiful moment for their relationship, but one of the most underrated details that I appreciate even more now after having watched season 2 was the fact that after Ruby has shared everything and she has fallen asleep on James, James tells Percy, his driver, that he doesn't know what he's doing. And that really revealed a level of depth and understanding that the writers have in how these are teenagers. They're incredibly young and vulnerable. The frontal lobes of their brains have not developed yet. They're trying really hard, but they're also not going to navigate these situations the way that adults with more developed brains and more life experience would. In this opening for season 2 of episodes 1 and 2, we get to see a sort of parallel to that exchange between Ruby and James, where now he is the one that's really struggling with something traumatic, and Ruby, despite her best efforts and best intentions, is still a teenager. She doesn't have superpowers to just magically fix this problem. All of the emotional fallout, his grief, despair, anger, every negative, albeit valid emotion he's experiencing in this immediate aftermath of the death of his mother, that's not something Ruby knows how to handle. If you're first and foremost here to watch fun, romantic moments, these episodes are not going to have quite as much of that because James is really struggling with that loss. So that pain is infused into everything that's happening with him. So as a viewer who likes to see these two being happy and in love, it's sad to watch them be sad. But as a critic, I have to acknowledge that Damian and Harriet do some of their best acting whenever James and Ruby are going through it. Do you need them to cry? Do you need them to feel anguish, despair? Oh, they will do it extremely well every time. I've had to stop watching a lot of these younger, made for a teen audience of focusing on teenage characters types of shows lately because far too often if I turn them on, it's like I can see the actors who are supposed to be leading these shows thinking about what they're doing as an actor. I'm in this scene. My character is feeling this way, so I need to say my lines this way. This is not the time to show me the man behind the curtain. I turned this show on to see the wizard. But Damian and Harriet, when you throw them into a situation where their characters are struggling, oh, they will nail it. I have to commend them for that. Now, emotionally, like I said, I don't enjoy watching them be sad, but if I take a step back, I will always find myself thinking, wow, this is very good acting for a teen show. One of the things that was introduced in season 1, particularly when the students were visiting Oxford, was a scene with Ruby and Lydia where they're outside the pub and Lydia is stressing about being pregnant and Ruby is really kind to her, as she always is, because that's fundamentally who she is. And if anyone messes with her, well, there's going to be problems because the universe will give them exactly what they deserve. In watching that, I was thinking to myself, I really want these two to interact more because I hate that most of the time when we see Lydia, she's either with that horrible predatory man that the show tries to endear us to, but it's not going to work on me because he needs to get away from her, or she's being treated horribly by her father. Lydia is not a mean girl. We shouldn't have to watch her continually suffer like this. James and Ruby are struggling enough to fill the show's angst quota. Lydia needs friends. Where are her friends? Well, in these opening episodes for season 2, we get to see exactly what I wanted. We get to see more of Ruby and Lydia spending time together. This is what I wanted. Ruby always had an abundance of love and support from her family at home, and she has friends at school, but Lydia needed this expansion to her story, and she needed it badly. Ruby has the kindest heart of anyone we've seen at Maxton Hall. There is no one better to be a friend to Lydia during this difficult time than her. Lydia has a lot going on that I can't talk about this early, but I can say that we finally get to see more of that relationship begin to develop between her and Ruby. I hope that will continue in season 3, since season 3 has already been announced, so I'm assuming I can say that I hope to see this relationship develop further. A couple other quick tidbits I'm going to mention in this review of episodes 1 and 2. There is a new character who gets introduced. I don't know if they've been announced to the public yet. I'm assuming they have, but I'm going to stay vague just to be safe. You can mention them in the comments if you already know who they are. I had to finish writing and recording this review in a hurry. My itinerary was thrown off by the release date announcement for Bridgerton Season 4, so I didn't have as much time today to work on this video as I had originally planned. But I will say that when I watched these first 2 episodes for the first time, I was very intrigued by what this new character's arrival could potentially mean for the story and certain power dynamics among various characters and their relationships. There was something that happened in these 2 episodes that the show tries to play off as nonchalant, but I immediately honed in on it as a red flag, as something bad and foreboding. So make of that what you will. And finally, there was something that I found to be unexpectedly funny that happened in these episodes. I won't tell you which one, but it was something that genuinely made me laugh out loud. Maybe it was just easier to make me laugh specifically because I don't consider Maxton Hall to be a funny show. It's usually offering a lot of drama and angst and yearning and passion and emotions are swelling. I don't click on an episode of Maxton Hall with the expectation of laughter. But I did laugh, and that had me thinking, oh, well, maybe Damian and Harriet could try doing something a bit more comedic after this. Try developing and presenting different skills in their Rolodex of acting capabilities. It's understated. Don't go turning on Maxton Hall Season 2 thinking that I set you up to cackle out loud like you're watching a Wayans Brothers film. It's not that funny. But still, I had a laugh, which was nice to have in the mix considering how sad and angst-ridden these first 2 episodes are.
Oh my god!
Now, next week, we will be doing a review of episode 3, so you can stick around if you would like to see that. And let me know about your thoughts on Maxton Hall, your hopes for season 2, and depending on how much interest there is in my posting about the show, maybe I will do an extra video in addition to the videos I'm already planning to do about this season. I'm not promising anything yet. I need to see how this video does and everything else that I have on my video to-do list for YouTube and Patreon. But thank you for watching, and let's have some fun with Maxton Hall.